Well, hello, career management students. Today is Friday, March the 20th, 2020. When you log into Canvas, make sure you're scrolling down under 2.02 and going to today's date. Remember, that's the first thing you should do. If you've gotten this far, then pat yourself on the back because you've done a good job. The second thing you're going to do is complete the weekly warm-up for week 9. Today is Friday, so it's your last day. Make sure when you finish that you upload this under week 9 in your warm-up section. The third thing we're going to do is complete the discussion board today. Remember, when you're answering the discussion board, to please answer it in a complete sentence and do not use those texting abbreviations. The fourth assignment we have today is a 2.02 boom or bust business cycle GO, and I'm going to cover the Nearpod for you today. I've listed the code here. It is HCMXP. You can go through it student paced, or you can stop and fill it out as I am covering the Nearpod with you. And then your last assignment for today is going to be how the economy has changed. It's a project based. I want you to think about the past 15 years, how the economy has changed. You're going to focus on North Carolina, a local area, which I chose the Wilmington Southport area because I want you to see how the economy has changed near the coast due to importing and exporting of goods with the ocean. And then I want you to look at how the U.S. economy has changed and really think about, too, what's happening today with this COVID-19, your coronavirus, and what's kind of happening to the world as you're thinking about changes. The last thing I will do is I will cover the study guide with you, which is 2.02, because you will have a test on Monday. All right, we're going to click next. Your discussion board for today is, how are you keeping yourself occupied while you are out of school? Do you have a set schedule of what you do each day? If you do, tell me why. If you don't, tell me why. I just want to kind of see what everybody's up to, but we're not in a classroom. Mason and Trevor have already popped in and answered this today. Mason said he wakes up like around 10 to do his assignments. He'll go back to sleep. He might just hang and party the rest of the day, but I will say this, Mason's been getting his work done. Trevor says when he wakes up, he'll eat breakfast. He'll start some of his assignments. He takes a break. Then he goes back and does some more. Absolutely nothing wrong with taking those breaks in there because like I've told y'all, don't try to do everything at one time or you'll burn yourself out. All right, as we go next, you're going to open up the boom or bust GO. This should be the graphic organizer that you are opening up. And then you're going to be able to open up the Nearpod yourself. But like I said, I'm going to also open the Nearpod. Your graphic organizer will look like this here. This is what you're going to fill in as I go through, okay? All right, so now for the Nearpod lesson, boom or bust. We're going to think about and focus today on the impact of the business cycles. Yesterday we talked about the business cycle and you learned that you have prosperity. Something happens, we slip into a recession. Basically what's happening right now. If the recession doesn't pull itself back into prosperity, you will hit a depression. From there, you hit that recovery phase. And it's just a basic cycle, sort of reminds you of a roller coaster. So as we look at this today, the two objectives that we're going to cover is I'm going to explain the phases of the business cycle again. And then at the end, we're going to summarize the causes of the business cycle. So to start off with, let's look at part A, and we're just going to go through the phases of the business cycle. So Rosalie, she's just a babysitter. Her income, because of being a babysitter, is not steady. The parents who hire her don't have a very stable amount of spending money. Sometimes they have loads of money. Other times they don't even go out at all because they have no extra money. So everyone experiences those economic ups and those economic downs, just like what's happening now if your parents are possibly not working. A lot of places, if they're not, these people aren't getting paid. So therefore, income is slowing down, just like Rosalie's. So what are business cycles? They could be economic fluctuations where something goes up, something comes down, the ups and downs in our economy, or periods of expansion and contraction in economic activities. The impacts that business cycles have on us, business cycles, they affect every economic activity. They affect production, the consumption when we buy something, the exchange of goods and services, and the distribution. Business cycles and real gross domestic product, also known as GDP, which we've seen already in class, when that real GDP increases, economic activities will increase. So therefore, the economy is growing. When your real GDP is decreasing, your economic activities decrease. So therefore, when they're decreasing, we experience an economic decline. Business cycles and other economic indicators. Let's think about unemployment for a moment. When our unemployment rate goes up, your economy is declining because people don't have money to spend to put into the economy. When the unemployment rate is going down, the economy grows because people are working and they have money to pump back into the economy. All right, let's think about inflation for a minute. When inflation goes up, the economy is booming. People are spending money. Got jobs. People are, they've got that money coming in. But when that inflation will drop, when the economic activity slows down. So when people start, not getting overtime and hours are getting cut, the inflation will drop. So the benefits of growing your economy, well, it's going to provide a higher standard of living because people have money to spend so they can improve their quality of life. You're going to be creating new and additional jobs within those businesses. You're enabling the government to be able to fulfill its duties more thoroughly. And you're also resolving any domestic issues. Avoiding those extreme ups and downs. So how can we go about avoiding them? By understanding whether business activities are getting ready to expand or contract, those business leaders can take the steps to avoid the extreme economic ups and downs. They can actually anticipate necessary changes in their employment, the productions of their goods, the pricing that they're going to put on those, and the purchasing that's probably going to happen. All right, the unpredictability of a business cycle, because it is unpredictable. There's no way to accurately predict the length or the severity of a business cycle. We could, like a week ago, honestly, we were setting in prosperity. Life was good. And look what happened. All within a week, the economy is slipping into a recession. It's also difficult to predict the exact beginning and ending of your business cycle. Business cycles are inherently they're irregular because there's nothing that you can predict. As you look here, this is going to be the phases of a business cycle. You've got your expansion, the peak, contraction, and the trough. And as you see here, looking at this, you're going to see the peak. It's in contraction. The trough means we're in recovery, and then all of a sudden, expansion, we go back up into prosperity. And as you see, it basically does look like a roller coaster. When you think about your economic expansion, because think about it, you're wanting the economy to grow. You're looking at the peak. All of a sudden something happens. It's contracting and getting smaller. And then it slips into the bottom. And we expand and we come back up into prosperity. All right, let's think about our economic expansions. As we're looking at economic expansions, it's time that you're thinking about economic prosperity and growth, because we need to think about how can we grow. So consumers' incomes will start to increase. If consumers' incomes are increasing, they can spend more money on those durable goods that they use. So therefore, when they're spending money, business profits goes up. New businesses will take that leap of faith and they will open because they feel comfortable. And those existing businesses will now invest in new equipment to better the goods or the services that they are providing. All right, still in prosperity. It's a time of economic prosperity and growth. When you're in prosperity, you've got production increasing, demands for your goods and services are increasing, At this point, because those demands of the goods and services are increasing, more workers are now hired, and additional business facilities are built in other locations so that they can get more goods and services out. All right, the Federal Reserve System, they're going to put money into circulation. So therefore, when they're putting money into circulation, interest rates on your loans, the personal loans like mortgage loans, car loans, and things like that will decrease. So consumers and producers will borrow and spend more money because interest rate is low. They're not paying as much back to the banks. So we are now reaching our peak. When we reach the peak, you have economic prosperity. It eventually reaches a high point, which is your peak. Think of a mountain. You've got the demand for many products because they begin to exceed the supply, so therefore prices are rising. And your demand for low interest rate loans will exceed their availability, so therefore at this point, interest rates will start to rise. When we're reaching that peak, consumers and producers, they begin to feel less hopeful about their future. So therefore, they start to save more money and they're spending less. So they're putting more in that savings account. The demand for products and services will start to decline, and economic activities will kind of level off. They're not climbing anymore. So you've got, all of a sudden, we fall into that economic contraction. So when demand starts to fall and unemployment rises, that contraction starts to begin. So it's starting to pull together and want to close up. So is it a bad time for consumers and businesses? Well, it all depends. Consumers, they continue to spend less, but they're saving more money, and people think saving money is good. Businesses will postpone purchasing that new equipment, and they'll just use what they've got. There'll be fewer new businesses started, and businesses, they earn less profit because we consumers aren't spending money. They experience losses, possibly even close, just like what you see here, going out of business sales. So as you're in that economic contraction, it is a bad time for consumers and businesses. Businesses start decreasing their production because sales are sluggish. People aren't spending that money. Inventory starts to pile up, collect dust, and when that happens, workers lose their jobs or they experience a drop in pay. When you're in the economic contraction, it's a bad time once again for those consumers because, demand is falling. We aren't wanting goods and services. And when that happens, businesses decrease the prices so that they can attract we consumers. And then interest rates will decrease. Economic activity at this point diminishes. So during a contraction, you've got social problems because they often increase. Poverty increases because people don't have money. Crime may increase because if people don't have something, they're willing to steal to get it. People may turn to other solutions such as alcohol, and they may turn into be alcoholics. Marital problems could arise. Suicide numbers rise, all because of your economic situation and people not having money to be able to do the things that they may have done when they were in prosperity. So some contractions, they become recessions. They could deepen into those depressions. So when you think about the characteristics of a recession and kind of think about what's going on right now with the coronavirus and everything, a contraction that is it's got to be at least 6 months long. So if we pinpoint this now and we carry it out to September, because that's 6 months, let's see what happens. Let's kind of pay attention to those unemployment rates. Because at this point, for it to be a characteristic, unemployment rates could get as high as 10 and 12%. So that's a lot of people without jobs. If we slip past that recession into the depression, then let's look at this. A recession that continues and goes on past that 6 months, it gets very severe. Many businesses will fail at this point, and unemployment could peak as high as 25%, which is a huge number. So now let's think about this. As we enter the bottom, and we're at the bottom here of this coaster, and you're thinking about, okay, most people like to call it rock bottom. So more businesses are going to fail. unemployment is probably above 25%, and then the economy will stay at this low until consumers and producers become hopeful, because you've got to be hopeful about business and buying more products. And then sometimes it could be a positive sign of hitting that rock bottom, because it implies that a recovery is on the way. All right, so now let's go on and summarize the causes of a business cycle and what causes this business cycle. So now there are multiple factors that cause a business cycle. It could be a change in one factor that leads to a change in another factor. It could be causes of a business cycle can be divided into two major categories. Those could be internal causes or they could be external causes. So internal factors, they have to take place within that economic system itself. So therefore, when you're thinking about internal factors, let's think about aggregate demand. This is the total demand for an economy's products. So you can pull that GDP, and remember that was gross domestic product, and employment. It could go up, it could go down to cause the business cycle. So as we're looking at those internal factors and you're thinking about your aggregate demand, rises when consumers want those more products. So if we're wanting products, then production's going to increase. When production increases, they got to hire more workers. Then when they hire those workers, employees will earn more wages. Production may not be able to meet the growing demand, which results in inflation, and therefore prices of those goods rise. So let's think about a demand pull inflation. It's inflation that occurs between your aggregate demand, which exceeds that available supply that we have sitting there. So thinking about those internal factors for aggregate demand, if your aggregate demand decreases, then production and employment is going to decrease. Inventory is going to build up because we're not wanting those goods, and then a recession or a depression can result. So now let's think about money supply as an internal factor. Money supply, this is the total quantity of money which exists at one time in a nation. So if a nation's money supply goes up or that money supply goes down, the economy will soon follow. It's either going to go up in prosperity or it's going to go down into a recession and a depression. So the federal government, they can manipulate the money supply through those monetary and physical policies that they have. The government will restrict money flow by possibly raising taxes, raising that interest rate, and buying less. The federal government, once again, can manipulate the money through the monetary and physical policy. The government can increase the amount of money that's in circulation by spending more. They could lower the interest rate. They could be lowering taxes. All right, when interest rates are low and money's plentiful, people's got lots of money, more money is borrowed. Production increases because we want those goods and more work is available. Unemployment's low because everybody's got a job, and economic activities are growing because people are spending money. When money's in short supply, unemployment goes up because people aren't working. Business activities slow down because people aren't working, they're not spending money, and there's a period of contraction that starts to begin. So we need to think about these internal factors and invest in our capital goods. When producers are hopeful about the future, they're going to buy new equipment, they're going to buy new business facilities, they might expand their current building, they may build in another location, and it's going to cause economic activities to expand. When producers are optimistic about a business and thinking about your inventory levels, they increase their inventory levels to prepare for that unexpected increase in demand. So therefore, economic activities will expand. So you've got to increase the inventory levels, have things sitting there, so therefore people who demand them will be able to get them and not be going to, like you do now, to the store and you see there's no product sitting on the shelf. So when you think about your inventory levels, when producers become less hopeful, they're going to decrease their buying of the new goods and they're going to focus on selling their current inventory. Therefore, the economy at this point is starting to contract. As you see here in the picture, you've got a liquidation sale. When you have things like that, you're going to slash the prices. All right, still thinking about external factors at this point, things that happen outside the economic system. Not in, remember, external means out. So outside of the economic system. First, let's think about political changes. Big thing going on. We've got lots of different people running and trying to win for president in November. So anytime there's a change in a political party, it can cause change in economic activities. Say, for instance, you've got a Republican in office now and the Democrats get in. Could make a change, and vice versa. So also climate changes. Jobs in ag and construction, they vary because of weather conditions. You could have droughts, you could have floods, blizzards, anything that's going to negatively affect the economy. So let's think about international relations. The interaction of our nation with other countries will impact our economy. So us connecting with people across the globe is also going to play a factor in our economy. So let's think about discoveries and innovations. The discovery and or development of a new product or a new technique or any type of new resource could often stimulate our economy. Large sums of money was going to be invested into this, so therefore it's creating new jobs. Psychological changes. People's emotional reactions to life-altering national or international events can expand or contract the economy. Just like what happened on 9/11. What's happening now? People getting sick. It's bothering people, and therefore it also will affect the economy. So we got to make it pay. Which phase of the business cycle are we currently experiencing? Well, a week ago, I'd say we were in prosperity, but I'd say quickly we're slipping into a recession. Think about this. How have you been affected? What's happening in your household or your family? Are you doing any better or are you doing worse at this point? And if this prolongs, what's going to happen? What will the economy look like a year from now? So think about this time, 2021. And what's happening now? Think about this. How can you prepare for the future? So let's think about this for a minute. This is kind of the gray zone. You always hear people there, it's either black or white. Not necessarily. This could be the gray area. So some economists claim that elected officials, they use that business cycle to achieve their own political goals. So some people say that, they play it so that they can win whatever role they're running for in office. Supposedly, government leaders, they cause the economy to either expand before election and then it'll contract after being reelected. I mean, honestly, think about this. Do you think it's possible? Do our elected leaders cause business cycles? If so, do you think it's ethical? And remember, ethical is, what's right, what's wrong. So if it's ethical, it's right. If it's unethical, it's wrong. Think about this. Why or why not? All right, once you finish your Nearpod notes, if you will save those and upload them into Canvas, the last thing I have for today is the study guide. I thought I would read the questions and the answer choices for you. All right, this is 25 questions. Like I said, you will have the test. Which is true of community colleges? A, they do not charge tuition. B, they offer no diploma programs. C, they have that open door policy. Or D, all their courses are delivered online. Well, currently we can say it's D, but that's not the answer. Because if this was a normal situation, not all courses would be online. Community colleges do charge tuition, so we can chunk A. They do offer diploma programs, and that says no diploma programs. So therefore, the answer is C. All community colleges have an open door policy, which means they accept anybody as long as you have a high school diploma. So 1 was C. Number 2, the certification program for vet assistants at the local college uses hands-on learning where models and products are being produced weekly to teach students. This is an example of which independent learning process. Is it A, online, B, project-based, C, independent study, or D, self-instruction? Well, if the vet assistant is using hands-on learning, that's project-based. So number 2 is B. When Heather graduates, she's going to enter into the ROC college program to become a surgical technician and then proceed to become an orthopedic surgeon. This opportunity is unique to which future learning experience? Is it the 2-year college program, the 4-year, the technical, or the military? If she's going to enter into the ROTC program, we all know ROTC is military, so 3 is D. Randy has decided to pursue the NASCAR pit crew training at the NASCAR Technical Institute after he graduates this year. Which type of future learning experience will he seek? A 2-year college, a 4-year college, a technical school, or the military? Well, NASCAR Technical Institute, it's in the title, tells you it's a technical school. 4 is C. Number 5, community colleges in North Carolina offer A, an open admission policy, B, on-the-job training, C, admission requirements similar to those of a 4-year college, or D, do they waive those admissions and tuition costs? A, they have that open admission policy, just like the open door. As long as you have that high school diploma or your GED, you're going to be able to get in. Number 6, Virginia. Jose, Jonathan, and Margaret attend the Founders Day Art Festival during their spring break. What type of learning experience is this? A, formal, B, required school, C, informal, D, diverse economy. If they're doing it on their own, it's informal learning. Number 7, which type of financial aid must be paid back? A, a loan, B, scholarship, C, grant, D, stipend. Anytime that you're paying that financial aid back that we've learned while we were covering 2.02, it is a loan. All loans have to be paid back. Number 8, the school organization that meet after school with the common purpose and goal, they're called what? Internships, hobbies, clubs, or sports teams. Anything that's going to meet after school for common purpose is going to be a club. Even though some of the high schools right now, I think, have like a time built into their daily schedule, but a lot of times clubs will meet before school or after school. Number 9, which could not be considered a valuable library research source? Books, periodicals, the television, or the newspaper? Which of those is not a valuable library research source? And that one would be the television, because you're going to find books in the library, you're going to find periodicals and newspapers. Number 10, Anya started learning early in life in preschool. She progressed through elementary, middle, and then high school. Now that she is in college, she continues to learn and looks forward to her career training after college. Her perspective is best described as what? Lifelong learning, short-term learning, diversity learning, or a normal student. That would be lifelong because she's learning in preschool, elementary, middle, high, college, and as she rolls into that career. Number 11, post-secondary school, where a student might receive a bachelor's degree in a specific discipline, is A, college or university, B, community college, C, graduate school, or D, professional school. If you're going to receive a bachelor's degree, That is a 4-year degree, and you get those at a college or university. So 11 is A. Number 12, LaShawn is pursuing a physical therapy assistant's degree at the community college. Which type of future learning experience will he seek? Is it a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, a technical school, or military? If you're getting an physical therapy assistant degree at a community college, you are receiving your associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree. So 12 is A. 13, Mark is on the annual marine biology field trip to Wilmington. He is making daily entries in his digital journal that he will use to complete his senior project. What type of learning experience is this? Is that formal, informal, creative, or internship? It is actually formal because he is actually doing this with his class, so it's with school. Number 14, a paid or unpaid practical work experience through which a student or a graduate gains practical experience under supervision is A or an A, apprenticeship, B, cooperative education, C, internship, or D, job shadowing. C, internship, because sometimes internships can be paid, sometimes they are not. Number 15, lifelong learning is a continuation of learning as skills needed on the job change, B, required educational development, C, no longer necessary in today's workplace, or D, acceptable only to formal education in the workplace. Now, think about the story we read about the average life of Joe. That makes that answer A, because you're always learning as things on the job change. Number 16, which statement is true of military training? It is generally not as good as the civilian on-the-job training. B, there's no tuition assistance for enlisted personnel. C, training is provided on the job through specialized schools. Or D, credit from the military cannot be transferred. As you look at this one, you need to focus on C, because when you're in the military, training is provided on the job and it is done through your specialized schools. So 16 was C. 17, the first step in creating a network is to build A or and A, a job lead, B, an introductory script, C, a referral, or D, a contact list. Well, the first thing you want to do if you're building a network is a group of people, you want to create yourself a contact list. So 17 is D. 18, a school counselor or career development coordinator, also known as a CDC, can assist students in their career planning by A, helping them explore their career interest, B, getting them jobs, C, telling them which career and colleges to choose, or D, insisting upon that 4-year college. A, that school counselor or the career development coordinator is going to help them explore their career interests and kind of get them into the right path. Number 19, which type of program would a community college provide? A college transfer, a doctoral, a master's, or a school of law? Well, anybody, if you think about this, as we were talking about community colleges last week, you would know that the community colleges offer those transfer programs into other colleges because you can go there for 2 years and save a lot of money. So 19 is A. All right, 20. Kenneth is an accountant making $48,000 a year with a bachelor's degree in accounting and CPA. Catherine is an accounting clerk with an associate's degree in accounting making $28,000 a year. What is the correlation between educational attainment and potential earnings? A, working hard is all that matters in the amount of earnings a person makes. B, the higher the education level, the higher potential in one's income earnings. C, my parents make plenty of money even though they don't have a college degree. Or D, the higher the education level, the lower the income earning potential. B, the higher the education level, the higher potential in one's income earning. 21, a good source for scholarship information is A, your banks, B, counseling offices, C, Employment Security Commission, or D, Department of Labor? The answer to that one would be your guidance counselor's office, so those counseling offices. 22. Kay and Gasha found a job at a hotel through an international refugee assistance program. This hotel chain has a refugee recruiting and assistance program that can help them find jobs, safe housing, and how to open checking accounts and grocery shop. Which portion of the diverse economy does this impact? Is it A, the local economy, B, the state economy, C, the national economy, or D, the global economy? And if you're thinking about international, that would be global. 23. Which is the statewide graduation requirement for North Carolina high school students? A, end of course test in all subjects. B, a work-based learning experience. C, 3 credits in science. Or D, 4 years of foreign language. That would be 3 credits in science because you have to have earth and environmental science, physical science, and biology. 24. Josh wishes to become an aeronautical engineer because he understands that the United States is the #1 maker of commercial aircraft. Which portion of the diverse economy does this impact? A, the local economy, B, the state economy, C, the national economy, or D, the global economy? Well, if Josh is thinking about the United States, that makes it national. If it's local, you'd be thinking about the county you live in. State would be the state you live in. National would be the country you live in. And global would be the whole world. So 24, once again, is national economy. Last question, gathering information about hours, environment, and safety in regard to the occupation discloses what? A, your working conditions, B, the nature of the job, C, your potential earning, or D, education and training. Well, if you're looking at your hours and the environment you work in and safety, you are focused on your working conditions. So hopefully those weekly warm-ups that you're completing every day will help you with question 25. All right, that's all I have for the lesson today. So make sure you've answered the discussion board. You go through the Nearpod and you answer the graphic organizer and you upload that and you study this study guide based on what I just covered. Guys, you have a great weekend. Stay safe and healthy. And remember, limit your contact with people. So think about, that social distance that we're practicing. And hopefully within the next week, we hope can get back to school maybe in April. Y'all have a fantastic weekend.